Welcome to the State of the Market for Law Firm Sales in 11 minutes. My name is Jeremy Pook and I lead Senior Attorney Match. In today's In 11 Minutes, it's an explainer episode where we're going to explain the four winners when senior attorneys sell their law practices to growing law firms. So let's jump right into it with that first winner. Winner number one when senior attorneys sell their law practices to growing law firms is the senior attorney or senior attorneys themselves. When senior attorneys sell their law practices to growing law firms, there's really four components to how they win by doing so. The first component is that they get to monetize the law practice, the practice they've developed over the course of their career, often 30 plus years of practice. They're able to monetize it. And we'll discuss that a little more in just a few moments. The second component is that they no longer need to manage the office. By selling to a growing law firm, and really what our clients are typically doing when they sell their law practices is they're joining a growing law firm and practicing there often for several years, can be less, can even be more. But a major benefit, a major win is no longer needing to manage the office. We so often hear at the closing table, phew, I no longer need to write a check to the landlord every month. I don't need to make payroll every 2 weeks. The third component to the win when selling to growing law firms is being able to finally spend more time outside of the office. Senior attorneys have run small business law firms for most of their careers often, and by selling to a growing law firm, they're able to spend more time with family, more time outside of the office, finally take that 3 week vacation that they just haven't been able to do years prior because they're literally just minding the store, minding that small business law firm that they've owned for so long. And the fourth component is being able to continue to practice law as an of counsel attorney, picking and choosing what it is that the senior attorney wants to continue practicing on. In terms of that monetizing the practice, when senior attorneys are monetizing their practice, we are now in the mid 2020s, and we continue to see, and we're going to be in what we call law firm sales 1.0, certainly for the remainder of this decade, because the monetization of most law firms involves earnout terms where senior attorneys, when they're selling to growing law firms, they are, for lack of a better word, they're delivering their book of business, their client list and their referral source list. And the way that they're monetizing the practice is by being paid a percentage of the collections that are earned and are billed by that growing law firm to whom the senior attorney firm sold their practice. They are receiving a percentage of those collections during a negotiated number of years, hence earnout payment terms. Now that we're in the mid 2020s and heading towards the end of this decade, we are also in and heading further into law firm sales 2.0. In law firm sales 2.0, what we're starting to see, and we're absolutely going to see more of, is fixed prices plus earnout terms, where those fixed prices are based upon the value of the digital value and the brand awareness of law firms. Law firms are now developing trade names. They're also investing significantly in digital marketing. When there is data analytics that will support how the clients are coming into law firms, banks will feel much more comfortable to lend to buyers in law firm sales 2.0 with a fixed price at a closing plus earnout payment terms to the senior attorney. In terms of the second win, in terms of the second win, when senior attorneys sell their law firms to growing law firms, winner number two is the key employee lawyers and para staff that work with the senior attorneys at senior attorney led firms. This is really a huge win for those key employee lawyers and para staff because, in reality, what in particular key employee lawyers want at senior attorney led firms is they want a job. They want job security. They want to know that they're going to be able to maintain employment by joining a growing law firm, because what they really want and need, that is key employees at senior attorney led firms, they want to have reliable, predictable, and safe jobs. It often takes a while, though, for senior attorneys to recognize that. And sometimes it takes too long for them to recognize that their key employee lawyers really don't want to purchase their practices. And here we'll show what we qualify and explain as 4 false expectations that senior attorneys have with regard to that internal successor. Those false expectations are based upon the fact that they don't recognize that the key employee who they hired when they were building their practice really only wants a job. They wanted a job when they were originally hired. They still only want a job X number of years later when a senior attorney is contemplating retiring and selling the practice. The next false expectation is based upon the fact that the key employee lawyers, well, they went to law school and not business school. They just don't aspire to owning a small business law firm. The next false expectation is about affordability. That is, how can they afford to purchase the law firm? And often, key employee lawyers, those would be internal successors, they can't afford to purchase a law practice. They have so many other expenses going on in their lives. They've got their mortgages. Really, we can't overemphasize student debt, right? I mean, student debt is almost like a first mortgage today. When lawyers are paying down their debt for years and years, even decades, on undergraduate and their law school debt. So to be able to take on the cost of paying a senior attorney the consideration for a law firm together with other costs that those would-be internal successors have is often just a bridge too far. And then the internal successors, they often just assume that their boss is never going to retire. They're going to have a job, quote unquote, for life. And when a senior attorney then springs on an internal successor, they want to sell the practice to them. The internal successor could sometimes leave early. And that is a terrible consequence for the senior attorneys because now they no longer have the buyer for their practice. And they lack the people to be able to do the significant, complicated work that the law firm produces. So now let's look at from that winner perspective, when senior attorneys and their key employees, when they join growing law firms, let's just think about and see what's on the minds of both of them. So first with the senior attorneys, when senior attorneys and their key employee lawyers and their parastaff all join a growing law firm, senior attorney can really go to bed at night knowing that the people that he or she has employed for so many years, that they're going to continue to have employment. Also that their clients are going to continue receiving great legal services from the people who they've known and trusted for so many years. For those key employee lawyers, those would-be internal successors, what's on their mind when they join growing law firms? They have a huge sigh of relief because they have secured salary, benefits, paid time off with a new employer. What's also on their mind is that they just knew that they would not be able to purchase the practice from the senior attorney boss who they work with for so long. And they're also very grateful that their team is together. And just to emphasize, what is it again? That's that major win for your internal would-be successors who are really key employees is that they secure reliable, predictable, and safe continuing employment. Okay, so let's now look at win number 3. The winner number 3 when senior attorneys sell their law practices to growing law firms are the clients. The clients benefit significantly when senior attorneys sell their law firms to growing law firms because, again, when senior attorneys are selling their law firms, they're often joining that growing law firm. They're practicing often in of counsel capacity for often several years, sometimes shorter, sometimes longer. And the clients then are able to benefit by continuing competent legal representation, which is really what the senior attorneys want for their clients. And the way that that happens, the way that the senior attorneys are able to transition their clients to lawyers at the firms that they join is what we call trust transfer. That is, a senior attorney is able to say to his clients or her clients that I trust the lawyers at the firm that I joined. You clients, of course, you trust me because you've given me so much great work and you trust me to do your legal work. And if you trust me and I trust them, then the clients are going to trust the new lawyers at the growing law firm as well. And it's really 3 ways that trust transfer is accomplished when senior attorneys join growing law firms. It's done old school in person, okay, around a conference table, at dinner, breakfast, over drinks. Okay, but that's really happening less and less. The real efficient way, and it can happen, of course, but the real efficient way that trust transfer happens today, and clients benefit just the same, is virtually. Okay, it's via Zoom. And we're seeing this more and more with our clients. That our clients are joining growing law firms. They're spending much more time outside of the office. A client contacts them, they get an email, they get a text, they get a voicemail, they go on a Zoom meeting, introduce the client to new lawyers at the firms that they join, explain that I trust these new lawyers, you're in great hands. Again, we're on Zoom at that point, and say, you know what, I'm just going to exit right now because I've got to do fill in the blank. Senior attorney leaves the Zoom meeting. Client sticks with the attorney at the growing law firm. Client is a huge winner then. And then the third way that trust transfer is done is via social media. When clients are connecting and being connected with the firms that senior attorneys are joining via all types of social media. That can be e-newsletters, that can be via LinkedIn, that can be it being invited to webinars and learning about the lawyers at the firm that the senior attorney joined. Because now a client can call a senior attorney that, let's say, doesn't practice in a certain practice area. Senior attorney can either say, or the practice, or the lawyer, excuse me, the client learned that the firm offers a certain practice area that the senior attorney had never practiced in before. Client then trusts the fact that those attorneys at the new firm can handle that practice area. Client is very satisfied, and the senior attorney even gets the credit in terms of the earnout payments that the senior attorney is being paid by the growing law firm that a senior attorney has joined. And in terms of the fourth win, the winner number four, when senior attorneys sell their law practices to growing law firms, are the growing law firms themselves. When senior attorneys join growing law firms, there are three components to the win for those growing law firms. First and foremost is achieving, acquiring, having transitioned into their practices, the clients of the clients of a senior attorney-led firm, right? That is, what is it that all law firms want and need? They want and need new clients. Clients are the energy source for all law firms, and it's a huge component to the win for growing law firms when they take on the books of business of senior attorney-led firms. The second component is the combined workforce. If you're just getting the energy, right, that's coming from a senior attorney-led firm in terms of that book of business, well, you also need the engine, okay, to be able to produce the work. And that engine comes in the form of the lawyers and the parastaff that are coming over from a senior attorney-led firm and joining the growing law firm as well. And the third component to the win by growing law firms is the digital value. Senior attorneys and the attorneys at their firms today are often sitting on what we call treasure troves of digital value in terms of Google reviews that they could be obtaining and asking for from their clients, connecting with clients on LinkedIn, sending out e-newsletters, doing podcasts, doing videos, right? That's a lot we're spouting off, but here's the major reason for why. Right? Why is the digital value so important to growing law firms? It's because of the attention of clients. Today's would-be clients are not relying as much on word of mouth as they did pre-2020, and instead would-be clients go straight to Uncle Google for the most part, right? They're looking for and finding attorneys on Google. We're often saying that Google is America's greatest referral source for lawyers and law firms. And for lawyers and law firms, that is for growing law firms, to attract the attention of would-be clients, they need digital content. And when senior attorneys are joining growing law firms, just as one example in terms of Google reviews, and we see this with our clients often have hundreds, even can have thousands of very satisfied clients. They join growing law firms. The marketing department at a growing law firm says, could you please reach out to several, sometimes 10, sometimes even hundreds of your satisfied clients, and please ask them for a Google review. So why? Because when clients go onto websites, it's nice to see that lawyers are super lawyers. It's great to see that their Avo rating is such and such. But what trumps all of that is the number of Google reviews. It's just like when we're buying a pair of sneakers, when we're going to a restaurant, staying at a new hotel. We want to see that there are a number, hundreds of Google reviews. And when senior attorneys are joining growing law firms, that's just one component of that digital value win that they provide to the growing law firms, is a source for literally hundreds of new Google reviews to attract the attention of new would-be clients. So for today's buzzer beater, in terms of those four winners when senior attorneys sell their law practices to growing law firms, the four winners consist of, first and foremost, the senior attorneys themselves. Their win is that they're able to monetize the law practice. They're able to spend more time with their families. They no longer need to manage the office, and they could get to continue to practice law and do so in a way where they're focusing on representing clients who they want to practice. They're often doing that as of counsel attorneys. The second winner are the key employee lawyers and para staff, because when they join growing law firms, they get what they want and need. They want to have safe, reliable, and predictable ongoing employment. The third winner is the clients. The clients benefit by having continuing competent legal representation where the trust of the senior attorneys is transferred to the lawyers at the growing law firms that they join. And the fourth winner are the growing law firms themselves. And there's three components to that win for growing law firms, which is that they acquire the books of business, the new clients of growing of the senior attorney. They benefit by the combined workforce of senior attorneys, their para staff, and of course, the lawyers that practice at senior attorney led firms, and that treasure trove of digital value that senior attorneys and the attorneys at their firms present to growing law firms as well. And that is the state of the market. And what we recognize is a lot more than 11 minutes.